Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, but I'm going to go ahead and skip that intro today. I guess if you want to hear, you can watch another video because I want to get straight into it. And my battery is getting low, so I want to use my phone before it dies. Um, so what I find is there are three major signs that I come across when it comes to coming through a breakthrough. When I say a breakthrough, that can be anything, but I'm mostly more concerned with the emotional and spiritual and mental shifts that we make in order to open ourselves up to new experiences and a new level of experiences, right? Sometimes we think we're opening ourselves up to a new level, but really we're latched in and we're tight and we're kind of doing it the only way that we know how. So many things we do like that. And it's not until we get into it that we realize I didn't really allow this situation to be created with ease. I sort of forced it and pushed it and wretched it into place. And so that's why my results are not exactly what I'm looking for, right? So, three ways that I've noticed. Number one is I really know that a breakthrough is happening when I'm experiencing a very ugly emotional, uh, we'll call it vacation. So like an emotional vacation, like from the baseline of how I normally feel and how I'm usually operating, I'm okay, everything's fine. Normal nuances, traffic, kids, blah blah blah. But like when you're completely off your foundation or you find yourself completely off base, those sort of things are like indicators. I'll say that. It's indicators when you find yourself feeling like, I feel like crap. I don't know what's happening. I don't know where I'm growing. But what you have to remember in those times is not to fight it. I think a lot of people fight it because they think, oh, feeling bad is terrible. I should feel like this. I should be more grateful. And all those things are true. But when you're experiencing something and you know that like a shadow side of you is popping up and you're feeling real crappy because it's something about yourself that you don't really care for, but it exists. So you got to acknowledge it, right? But when you get into that space of truly acknowledging it and that icky feeling is there, now when I get those icky feelings of things that I don't want to experience, or unwanted feelings, we'll call them that, or unwanted situations and environments, and I'm not like forcing or rushing or pushing myself to change or get out of it overnight because I hate it so much. I know that deep inside I get a little bit excited because I know a breakthrough is happening. I know that my normal ways of like pushing it to the side or getting rid of it or just doing something else or ignoring it is not the route that I'm taking. I'm going full force, head on, and being completely honest about how I feel about things and what that means to me without being all upset and all, that getting all caught up with those sort of things. I can find myself in a much better place. So you just want to keep an eye out for that. Keep that in mind. Whenever you feel that little icky feeling, but you're not giving into it. You know it's there. It's bad. You might be crying about it. You might be aggravated about it. But you have that feeling deep down inside that there's a little bit of excitement here because I know that because this is happening, I'm changing for the better because I'm conscious of it. I'm paying attention to the patterns and I'm using that information to create something new. So you get to that point. Number two is little odd things that's related to the next level of where you're headed start to pop up in your life, right? So, I was okay. So one of my goals always has been to be a professor of sociology somewhere doing it, right? I've been teaching for a while, but I've never made it like 100% of my time thing. It probably would never be 100% of my time, but just give more energy into teaching and being in the classroom and creating knowledge is what I call it, right? Because people don't like higher ed institutions because they don't like the knowledge they create. Well, they're in the business of creating knowledge. So if you want to create knowledge, you can go ahead and write your own materials and books and do your own research and create those things. So when we're in these environments, um, there's a certain energy, there's a certain attitude all the time, right? So I was walking down the hallway one day a while ago, and I just happened to be dressed. I'm always dressed nice when I go to out to places because I always think that your physical representation is very important to how people receive you and what you get. How much you care about yourself, how much well you take care of yourself is really important. So I'm walking down the hallway and they're having like this big executive event or something like that. And they have all the professors for business and stuff like that there. And so this guy from Russia, he was a photographer for like a magazine. He pulled me over to the side. He was like, "Oh, you professor, can I interview you?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not." I was like, "I'm not teaching right now." I was like, "I teach sometimes, but I'm not teaching right now." And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, can you just take pictures for me because because I looked really nice that day." And he was like, "Sure." So he had me standing behind the podium, standing in front of the lectern, clicking the mouse and just like pointing at the board, just things you do whenever you're teaching. And, he was just like, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you." And, his English was okay. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, the fact that he was just like, "Oh, are you a professor?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not one." But he was just like, "Well, you fit the role so well. Let me just have you do these pictures for me." Right. So I think that's very cool. You start to see little odd things like that pop up in your space. You're just like, "Oh, wait, I wasn't saying that." One of the things to me when I knew that I was getting closer to getting to the goal of PhD, because before you finish all that dissertation and all that research and getting it all where it's clean and the research is valid and you've got good processes and stuff to create this knowledge, before you get to that point, it's very nerve wracking. And it feels like for everyone that I know, like you're not going to do it and you're not going to finish. It's a very weird feeling because it's like such a hump to get over mentally and the work wise, because there's a lot of work, right? But I remember right before I was getting close to that, like throwing a towel in or either completing the degree. I'm so happy I just went ahead and just muscled through and figured that out. But I remember students calling me doctor all the time. Oh, like Dr. Rove, doctor this, doctor that. And I was just thinking to myself, like, not really. And I would always correct them. But then I stopped. I was like, well, whatever. I'm heading in that direction. So little things like that are peculiar to your position or who your personality is will come to you. People will send you information related to something that you're planning on to go do. I was contemplating going to Dubai last year. And I showed up to a family event and one of my nieces was like, "Oh, I'm about to go to Dubai." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Well, then we're going." I was like, the reason why is because there's so many places you can go to in the world. And the fact that I was contemplating it and then she mentioned that they were going, I was like, okay, we're definitely going. Because to me, that was confirmation. And it was a very beautiful trip, right? And it was during COVID. And they were one of the only places that were letting you travel freely in environments. And so that was very nice. So what I'm saying is that these little peculiar things will pop up. And then the very last one that I have is when you know that you are in the middle of a breakthrough, you get easy. Because you're waiting on something and you want something to happen and you're excited about it and you're like, I want to create this thing, I want to do this thing and all this kind of stuff. But you find yourself not being in a panic over it anymore, right? Or something that is going on that you don't like or that you want to change or there's something that you don't care for. You get to the point where you're just like, hey, I'm not like emotionally phased by this because I know it's changing as we speak. I don't know how it's going to change. I don't know what's developing and unfolding, but I do know because of this easiness I feel on the inside that this thing is changing as I'm thinking about it. It's already changing. Like the target I have to be focused on of dislike, like that space is already transitioning to something else by the time I focus my attention on it for a day or a few hours or something, right? So I always say don't get too caught up on seasons because they change pretty quickly, right? Especially when you're conscious of the season and especially when you're just like, I don't like this thing or I don't want this thing or whatever, then it's much more easy for you to, keep on going down that road, right? Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and think about those things with your breakthroughs, right? 3 things, right? Are you like um feeling yucky about something, but inside there's like a little bit of excitement because you're growing, right? It's painful things happen and we know we're growing in them. Also, like, odd things that you didn't plan on showing up in your life that are related to the next level all the time. That's a very positive thing. And then like the last one is that, you're not shaking, like you're not tripping, right? You can easily not like something or not want to do something, but you're just not sitting in it tripping every day and fighting with it, right? Because I think that's one of the biggest signals that you send to the universe is like, I'm so relaxed about this thing because I already know what's coming next. And yes, I don't like this other thing, but I don't have to go on about it and, activate the frequency of it every single day, right? Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and 3 signs that breakthrough, you're in the midst of it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.